Hello everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money color commentator. On today's show, minimizing your taxes, part 4 in our series on managing your retirement. Before I learn how to play bridge, before I learn how to golf, or what other recreational activities that you're going to be into, you need to learn a little bit about the tax system. Listen, we sent about 500 and something people to the Senate and the House and the President to be able to manage, and they tell us what our tax bills are going to be. Very few citizens of the United States, especially us who are taxpayers, listen, only 52% are paying federal taxes. People are paying taxes. You need to know what this is about so that you can up your game and take every legitimate deduction, exemption, and tax credit that's given to you. Listen, there are seniors who could qualify for a reduction on their property taxes in certain states depending upon their adjusted gross income. Listen, I have to learn what my adjusted gross income is at the bottom of my page of my 1040, and some of us, depending upon your income and so forth, may even be subject to the modified adjusted gross income. I need to learn what that means, how to keep it low, and I also want to make sure I don't have to pay anything on the alternative minimum tax. It could happen. It's reduced more today, but you just need to remember, is there exposure for me? The first thing I want to do is, since we've had the tax cut, is remember, seniors, guess what? If you're 65 and older, mom and dad get $2,500 just for being 65, and they also get another $24,000 in the standard deduction. So it's $26,500 in standard deduction right away to offset income, especially when you think about RMD income coming in. I can't do anything about that most of the time, so I like to match that up and try to get rid of as much taxable income as I can. But I need to go through all that I have here. So the first thing I do is any ERISA product, whether it's defined benefit plan or a defined contribution plan, that is fully taxable. Think about it. You had a tax deduction back in the day, and so there's no basis left. So all that money comes out ordinary income tax at your effective tax bracket. We work in an environment in taxation of a progressive and marginal tax bracket. So my goal is to stay at the lowest bracket I can. That's our goal, and to use the proper deductions, exemptions, tax credits, and use some of the good senior perks that I have. I just named one on property taxes to make sure that we're paying the least amount. So first of all, ERISA, anytime I take anything out of those qualified plans, it's all taxable. There is no basis. Keep in mind, if you're watching this show and you say, Steve, I'm out of retirement, I was going to turn off the segment here, be careful. You should have maybe considered going outside ERISA, any qualified plan at all, because you would have been able to come into retirement with some basis. Remember, not all employers match a 401k, so maybe it's not that great to be in a 401k if you're in a low marginal tax bracket. You just need to look at it, talk to your tax consultant. It could be the way to go. Why would I want to pocket $200 to $300? This is kind of the average. $200 to $300 a year for 30 or 40 years and lose basis. I don't know if that's really a good savings. I leave it up to you. Annuity income. Now, if I'm in non-qualified income, let's say I'm taking annuity, that's all ordinary income. But, I have basis in a non-qualified annuity. If I have basis in non-qualified annuity, I actually get a little piece of the principal back as well as interest at the front end. It's one of the few exceptions to the first in, last out rule. So really, think about it. They actually kept it used to be FIFO, now it's LIFO, last in, last out as far as taxation. We're actually in an annuity, non-qualified. We get our principal back amortized over what our life expectancy is and earnings. So that return of actual principal is not going to be taxed. So there's where you start managing a few things. Non-qualified annuity, that could be a play for you to manage a little bit of your taxes and have lifetime income if that's where you're going. Capital gains. Remember, capital gain treatment. You know, we didn't do much about capital gains in this last tax code, so you got to be careful. Where are you paying money? If I have a capital gain and I cash in mutual funds, like I had a client who years ago, they cashed in mutual funds and he thought he was in the 15% bracket, but he was still working and he was making serious money. So his capital gain was not just 15, it wasn't just 20. Back in the day, he paid 23.8 because the Obamacare surcharge on capital gains was also online. So be careful. Capital gain is great, but consider it that no matter what our capital gain treatment is, even if we had 15%, all of the earnings in capital gain treatment, all the earnings still flow over to my provisional income test for Social Security taxation testing. So even though I might have paid a low 15% rate, all the earnings itself on the capital gain event is going to flow over to my Social Security, and it's going to be counted as income, and whether my Social Security gets taxed or not could be because of that income. I know, capital gain, and I'm paying an ordinary income tax on my Social Security for a capital gain event. I know, it sounds crazy. Interest is taxed at regular rates. Dividends for qualifying stocks and mutual funds, hey, they're taxed as long-term capital gains. So if I don't have that in an actual qualified plan, and I'm holding this outside in non-qualified monies, that's an issue. I want to say, how long can I take? And if you're investing, especially if you're a senior and you're retired, you're doing this for the long haul. You should have minimized your portfolio holdings in securities just enough to give you that bump of inflation, help you pay a little bit of cost of living along the way, and give your power of your purchasing dollar a little more spending oomph when you need it. RIA distributions, as I said before, it's qualified plan. It's all coming out taxable. There is no basis. And be careful, as I've said in previous segments, lump sum distributions. There are very few disciplined people. Even if you say, boy, I've been in life now, I'm age 70, I've seen a few things, but most people are not disciplined about lump sum distributions. They shouldn't be taking it. It's going to put you in a couple brackets higher. I say, think about it. Walk with a financial advisor that understands taxes as well, and see if you really fit the profile to take a lump sum. Very few Americans actually have the wherewithal in their mindset to manage this correctly. Also, pension annuity income. Listen, the government federal, the government state, and military are all mostly on defined benefit plans. They already have guaranteed benefits that us who are in the private sector, who don't have any of that, most of us, are paying taxes to fund that. So consider those obligations are so huge that we look at our debt now, which is almost at $21 trillion. Look at the obligations. Those obligations send our total bill over $100 trillion. I know this sounds insane, but think about it. All our obligations to state and federal and military on pensions alone are going to be $70–80 trillion on top of our $21 trillion tax debt right now. And remember, rollovers, if the rollovers are from institution to institution and you're just rolling it over and holding it in that, you're going to probably be okay because you haven't taken it outside qualified monies. But if you start taking constructive receipt of it, you have 60 days to put that back into a qualified plan. Be advised, if you don't do that, it's going to be treated as a taxable event. It was a distribution, and you're going to have to pay it at whatever your effective tax bracket is. Know your bracket, know your rates. Oh my goodness, we just had a tax code change. The tax brackets came down. I don't know if they're going to stay down. I doubt it. But right now you need to manage to your tax. So every year you look at the tax code. Oh, it didn't change. Great. Okay, you know what it is. And you need to manage to that bracket. You need to know, I might have space. I might be in the 15% bracket. I might have a little space to go to the next one. I can spend some money because I'm still going to pay 15 and not pay 20, 25, 30. So I need to look at that number and say, hey, I have a little room if I want to make a little more distributions or take a little more withdrawals because I'm still in the same tax bracket. But I don't want to do anything that's going to bump me into a higher tax bracket. My goal is to pay the least amount of taxes. So you got to know your tax bracket, what the effective tax rate you're paying, and stay away from bumping yourself in withdrawals or taking constructive receipt of taxable events, and try to stall those and stay within your bracket. So if you have to do conversions, even Roth conversions, anybody that's doing a 1-year Roth conversion of qualified plans into whatever it is, I think is making a major mistake. You're paying way more in taxes. You want to spread the tax liability out without bracket bumping yourself into the next bracket. So when you become a retiree, one of the big things I say, don't worry about golf, don't worry about learning bridge or any other recreational activity. Learn the tax code first. It'll benefit you. Remember, most CPAs, tax attorneys, and enrolled agents of the IRS are good about retro planning. Whatever you give them, they can do the taxes. I need CPAs, enrolled agents of the IRS, and tax attorneys to help me proactively plan for my taxes, or a financial advisor that knows what we're talking about. Don't forget about estate taxes. For most Americans, this isn't an issue. But remember, just because the federal rate is so high, what is it, $20-something million in unified credit total for a husband and wife, remember, most of us still might be subject to state estate taxes. So when you look at some of the California or New York or Illinois, look at that. That doesn't ditto the federal rate. So you may not have estate taxes, but you may have state taxes that transfer. You want to find out what your state is charging you to transfer your assets to the next generation or to the charity of your choice. You need to find that right now. Figure out what that is. Remember, most Americans don't have to worry about federal estate taxes, but most Americans that have any kind of income and any kind of assets need to consider state taxes. Taxes are the #1 erosion that takes retirement right down to living check to check. You have to be able to sit there and manage it so that you can have cash flow and enjoy your retirement. Don't forget to watch our next segment on the ABCs and Ds of Medicare, Part 5 in our series on managing your retirement. And keep in mind, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always check with your tax consultant, legal counsel, or financial advisor. You've been watching Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game.